Crime is everywhere and consistently on the rise. Quick and easy cases are solved daily, but what of those other cases? The ones that have gone cold with no new leads or information. The famous serial killers have been captured and made public. But what of those still on the loose? Or even worse, still killing? Welcome to the realm of darkness. Your host, Reeni and Ashley, will be your guides into the mysterious world of true crime cases and stories. Here are your hosts, Reeni and Ashley.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Realm of Darkness. As you know, you guys probably know us by now. If not, I'm Reeni, and we all know Ashley.
Yeah.
We all know Ashley.
For better or worse.
So this evening, we are going to talk about why we think kids kill. I know I've looked up some stuff, and it was a little bizarre to me. Honestly, I don't know if you've looked up anything. There's Dad.
There he is. There's one. I did. I looked up a couple of different cases and kind of researched a few. One of my favorite shows that I like to watch, though, is now I completely forgot the name of it. Signs of a Psychopath.
Okay.
Yes, because that starts from when they're children, like from when they're born, and it kind of goes through like the pregnancy into them being born and them as children. And it kind of makes you look at it from a different point. A lot of people think that when killers, that they're not born, that they're either raised in a certain type of environment that causes them to be like that, or they have mental illness or something of that nature. And Signs of a Psychopath show you that there are some kids that are just born like pure evil. I mean, I know that's awful to say.
It's not like a joking matter, but I mean,
everything going on. Yeah, well, but no, some of them are spawns of Satan.
I mean, did you find anything like signs to look out for? Like how you know your child is born like the devil?
I mean, nothing. I mean, there's some, this is awful, but there are some things that you will kind of watch in the show. Like they'll have like certain looks on the faces that you're like, okay, every child has that look. And then you start to question your child, like, okay, you could probably stab me in my sleep. But a lot of like, almost like kind of secluding themselves, being alone, not really wanting to be around other kids, not really being the loving type. Like, you know, most kids are, if they're boys, they're mama boys or they're daddy's girls. If they don't show those type of features at all, things like that, it's weird, but you can, like, when people start to talk about them as children, you're like, yeah, there's something wrong with that kid.
Okay.
I might know a few of them.
We all might.
Maybe related, I don't know.
Actually, I kind of have like a different opinion on that. And you all know me. I always have an opinion on something. Always.
That's why we love you.
I know. I kind of believe like the opposite. Like I believe it's kind of their environment to a certain extent. Honestly, I do. But I don't want to sit there and say, well, let's blame video games and let's blame music. Okay, let's not, like, I don't know. But I also feel like nowadays, like, people will not discipline their children at all. I think they just kind of let them run wild. And whatever happens, happens. And I don't think that they're involved with their children. What happened to, like, sitting down, like, having family dinners and asking everybody what their day is like without cell phones?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can see that. I do think, though, it's a hard argument because I slightly agree with you, but not. It's like I agree with you, maybe like 20 to 30%.
It's not a good percentage.
I mean, it's more than like, well, just because I know that there are some like children that come from the same home that are, you know, they're born to the same parents, they're raised in the same environment, grow up in the same house. And you can have kids that are completely different. You can have one who is violent, into drugs, alcohol, no respect, skip school, all kinds of things. And then you can have another, I mean, the same exact family, another kid who goes to school, gets good grades, plays sports, grows up, you know, and you have one that's kind of like my age, like the riffraff. And then you have the successful one. And they came from the same family, same home, same everything, same environment. So I do think that it's, but then you also have those, those kids that are born to, you know, KKK members, and they're born and raised to hate people of different races. And they grow up and they get out of it and they realize like, hey, that was wrong. My parents are idiots and blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know. I think it depends on the person. I do think it depends on the environment, and I think it depends on the mental capacity of the individual.
Okay, but let's look at it this way. Like nowadays, okay, this is way different when you and I, because we're about the same age. Yeah. I don't care who's older. We're about that same age range. But anyways, what I'm saying is things were different when we were younger.
Yeah.
Okay, compared to what they are now, because we didn't get to run around on our bikes and like have cell phones and bully people on top of it. Okay. Now, another thing is I was looking up some things why these girls seem to want to kill their friends. Okay.
Jealousy.
Right. Well, I don't, and I just don't like you. I just don't like you.
I think honestly, I mean, let's be real, girls are a bunch of
bitches anyway.
I was gonna say it. I didn't know how but yeah, girls are mean, they're jerks. And I think the competition that, well, like you said, we grew up in a different time. We didn't have social media. We didn't have all the Kardashians and like,
I don't watch that show.
The way, neither do I hate that show, but like the way that I dressed when I was 14 compared to the 14-year-olds now, like.
But here's the thing, these parents are letting them, here's where I'm having the issue. I feel like parents just don't want to deal with their children anymore. I think that's exactly what it comes down to. They just don't want to deal with them anymore. So it's better to like, do whatever it is that you're going to do. And they're not involved like they should be. And I understand what you're saying. They could be raised in the same household, but I feel like we're more afraid of our children than our children are afraid of us.
Well, and that has to do with the government and the laws, though. I mean, if you think about it, since my dad is avid in the comments, the way that my dad and his siblings were punished, I mean, they got the hell beat out of them if they looked at somebody the wrong way. But us, like, we still had whoopings and things if we needed it. But nowadays, if you put a hand on a child, and I'm not condoning violence toward children, that's not what I'm saying. But if your child talks back and you smack them in the mouth or you smack their butt, like, everybody's out to judge you, and their child services, and I mean, all this stuff. It's just crazy. And I mean, now back in, 70s, 60s, 80s, all that was probably child abuse, some of the ways that people were punished. But I think there are parents that are just, they don't really know how to discipline their kids. And, you have back then, normally the man was working and the woman was home with the children, taking care of them, raising them, doing all that. And now you have two parents who are working. So somebody else is raising your child for you.
But I also am a firm believer. If you keep kids busy, they usually nowadays to stay a little bit more out of trouble.
True. But I also
but we also are just giving them participation awards. Like, oh, that's great. I don't believe that.
No, that's right. You're raising a bunch of wimps.
Okay, but then let's look at it this way. All right, so I have a little boy, you have a little boy. It is what it is. Now, we naturally let our little boys play with Nerf guns, because I know I do. Okay, and I know you probably had Nerf gun war with your little one, and I've had plenty. Trust me. But when he says, I'm going to kill you, that means you better be ready around the corner because I'm about to shoot you.
Well, but I mean, also, I mean, one of the things too is that back then, again, it has to do with the media. And I mean, there were kids that had mental issues, mental disabilities, that still had that type of thing where they'd be like, oh, I'm going to kill you. And we've all said it. I mean, out of anger, just like, oh God, I could just strangle them. It doesn't mean I'm going to actually strangle them. I mean, I may want to, but today's society is so sensitive to so many things. I mean, you can't, no offense to anybody, but I don't even know proper terms to call people anymore.
No,
because
you don't. And I think
everything you do offends somebody.
Right. And I think this is confusing for them. And I think that when the virus started and people became a little bit more sensitive to things, like I just seen where this 17-year-old boy, he was running around with his friends and he was shooting water guns at people. How cool is that? But people took offense to that, and he got out, tried to make peace, and the next thing you know, they pulled a gun on him and they killed him. Okay.
Right.
For what? It was a harmless water gun.
Well, again, like I will say it until I'm blue in the face. Media has a lot to do with it. When we were younger, we never thought about running around playing with guns, like fake guns, you know, Nerf guns, water guns, whatever. But there was a lot of children. I mean, there was one in Cleveland who got shot because he was a little boy who was African American, had something that looked like a gun, and he lost his life over it. And ever since that day, I mean, that's kind of where it started for me, remembering. Ever since that day, people are scared to give their kids those kinds of things. And then consequences. The younger generations do not understand consequences. So they're like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go kill somebody, or I'm going to bully someone until they commit suicide. And oh, my mommy and daddy will take care of it. It's fine.
But see, that's mommy and daddy can't take care of when they kill somebody. And I know a lot of people will say it's probably the stuff that they're watching on TV. Okay. Bullshit.
I've been watching scary movies since I was little.
Okay. I will be the first one to admit, and I'm not proud of it, but it does happen. Okay. I love the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. We all know I'm a huge Michael Myers fan. You know this. I did this. Do I put it on, and has my little one watched it? Oh, heck yeah. Should he have watched it? No. But then when he sees like the next version of that movie and he's killing somebody, he's like, well, I thought he died in this movie. And I understand that might be a little confusing for him. But again, he knows the difference between, okay, this is just a scary thing. Like, this dude is really not running around, because I sat there and I explained it to him. But I also just came across a case where this girl killed her alcoholic dad because he already knew that she killed somebody. And she was so worried that he was going to rat her out. Well, the dude was drunk. He probably didn't even remember that you even killed somebody. But honestly, I look at it, if I knew that my child killed somebody and they were in my house, and I'd be like, oh crap, like now it's time to call the cops. Like,
well, and yeah, I agree. And I think that with the video games and the movies and all that, I mean, I have loved scary movies since I was little, and ghosts and paranormal and all that weird stuff, but I've never killed anybody. It's to the point where you have to be of that mental capacity to be able to differentiate reality and make believe. And if you have somebody who, I don't know if you want to call it a mental illness, or if you want to call it an over imagination or over whatever, you have to be able to have that common sense to say, okay, this is a movie, this is fake, they're not really killing people, and then this is reality over here where, you know, you can't kill somebody and they come back to life. Like,
it doesn't happen. I mean,
right. And I think if you're right, and I think if you're able to explain to your children and they're able to understand that, then the movies and music shouldn't have anything to do with it.
But then they're like, okay, so then 9 times out of 10, it's usually like they're in a household where the other parent is being physically abused and they don't know how to challenge their anger. Okay, that is another example. Could that be a possibility? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, but here's where the other issue lies, I guess, with me. We are putting children on medication because it's a lot easier for the school to handle children on medication. And we're not looking at what this is doing to our children. They're so cloudy. They're like, well, I don't really know what's going on, so I'm going to go ahead, and this person's been bothering me, so I might just kill him. And then you get a person on the, like, one of their doctors on the stand is like, nope, it's a side effect.
Right.
But you knew that before they did it.
Right. And you know, that's crazy because, again, when we were younger, do you ever remember kids in your class or so many kids being diagnosed with so many different things? And I mean, I know that there's medical breakthroughs every day. I get that. But I think it's so much easier to be like, oh, that child has a mental disorder. Oh, they have autism. Oh, they have this, instead of just like, hey, maybe your kid's hyperactive. Hey, maybe your kid just sits in front of TV all day. Take them outside and run, or, you know, get them playing a sport. And I think, you know, with working families nowadays, it's harder to do that because, you know, back in the day, people were having 6, 8, 10 children and they could kind of play and entertain themselves. And now with the way that society is and the cost of everything, families are having 1 kid, 2 kids. And I know I have one, and it's so hard to keep him entertained, especially when we're both working. So, you know, for 8 hours a day, he's by himself, entertaining himself. And then he has all this energy. Because even I've questioned, does he have ADD? Does he have ADHD? Is he, you know, does he have some type of spectrum of autism? And it's just that he just has energy he doesn't know how to burn.
And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, like, I know my little boy, you've been on the phone with me when he's like, well, she looked at me wrong. And like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's funny. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to take care of this because, you know, kids are important. But I also feel that with little boys, I think that they're a little bit more hyper anyways. And for an example, and I'll be the first one to admit, and I kind of feel like the school kind of has a little bit to blame on this, because my little one got kicked out of preschool because the teacher, I'm not proud of it, okay, but the teacher couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle him.
Because he had energy.
Yeah, she couldn't handle it. She wanted me to have him checked out by a doctor. Why? Because he had energy? Well, what is that going to do? He's just a little boy. That doesn't mean that he's, just because he's playing in the bathroom in the water, I mean.
Everybody does that.
He won't sit still, you know, but that doesn't mean he's going to be a killer.
But also, I mean, the criteria that children have to follow nowadays is ridiculous. I think we've had this conversation. Getting my son into preschool was torture. I mean, he had to know things just for preschool that I don't remember having to know. And, you know, it was just ridiculous. And I think they put so much pressure on children nowadays. Of course, they're going to break at some point.
Right, exactly. And then, okay, and I'm not condoning any school shootings. That is not what I'm condoning by any means. No. But I feel like the school system also fails these children, to be honest with you. And I feel like I just seen in Florida, there was a 10-year-old boy and his face was plastered all over because he sent a picture of guns to another classmate. And he's like, oh, I can't wait. Something about the water. I think he thought that they were water guns. Maybe it had something to do with water. Well, now he's sitting in a juvenile detention center. His photo is plastered all over the place. Mind you, he didn't kill anybody, but I do understand them having to be safe. But then I look at Lily Peters and her cousin killed her. And look at the broken home. Yeah. And then raped her, moved her body, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, he came from a broken home. But he, at that age, you kind of know what's right and what's wrong.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and he even admitted that he planned to do this when he said he was going to walk her home. So like I said, I do believe that there are children that have mental illnesses of some sort or that come from very broken homes. But I feel like if you come from a home that's so bad, don't you want to be the one that breaks that chain? Don't you want to be the one that makes a difference and be like, you know what, if my dad beats me every single day, I want to be a dad that doesn't do that. Or if my mom is on drugs, I want to be a better mom, or, you know, something like that. But again, it's a double-edged sword.
And
if say a little boy sees his dad beating his mom every day and he's very violent, that's what he grows up knowing. So he's going to think it's okay to hit someone. It's such a, I don't know, it's a hard thing because it is such a double-edged sword.
And I know Bill said the cartoons nowadays are violent. They are.
Okay. Okay. Tom and Jerry.
I know that was
the most violent cartoon I've ever seen, and that is back from your day, there, father.
It's actually, I mean, it was still on. I'd probably watch it. I'm not gonna lie, because I grew up
Tom
on
and
that.
Jerry. Yeah, it's violent.
Okay, but to us, it wasn't violent. It was funny,
right? But again, it I don't know. I think there's a different, like I said, mental capacity. I don't know. And I mean, perfect example, the person I was talking about before we came on here, you know, he was a child and he witnessed his father brutally murder his mother in front of his eyes. And he grew up, and I can't say he's perfectly fine. I've never met him. I've never talked to him. I'm sure he has nightmares and there's issues in therapy that has to be had, but he's never killed anybody. He's never beaten anybody. I don't know. I think it's possible to be born evil.
Explain to me how you think that it's possible to be born evil. I mean, I'm curious. I mean,
because how else? I want you to watch Signs of a Psychopath, and there are some children on there that start at 2-3 years old showing signs
of killing animals, correct?
Yes. And at that age, I mean, okay, maybe it's step on a spider, step on an ant, but these kids are like strangling cats or, you know, tying wires around dogs' necks. At that level, I think I don't want to say that they fantasize because that's too young for that type of word, but I think they get some type of pleasure out of seeing something struggle or something hurt. And I think it can start at, now it's not every killer. I think some of them, you know, can be made once they're older, but I do think that there are certain individuals that they just have I don't even know what to call it.
You just think that they won't grow out of, maybe, I don't say killing cats or dogs or any animal. Okay. You shouldn't do it in the first place. Okay. You shouldn't.
Well, no, you shouldn't. But I'm saying
okay, but are we sure that let's be honest. We both have children, and you obviously teach your children that they need to respect animals. We both have pets.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know my kid is a little rough with my dog. Okay. I've seen it. It's like, oh my gosh, can you two not get along? But I don't look at him as like, oh my gosh, he's being rough with the dog, so he may be a killer.
But there's a difference between walking by the dog and smacking him on the head or grabbing his tail and like killing a cat and skinning it.
But I also feel that like we're not
basking in the blood or whatever.
I understand that they're born like that.
Yeah.
But then what does the parent do? If your like 2-year-old is like killing a cat, maybe they just don't understand how to handle a cat.
Okay, well, some of the ones you will see on this show are not just like, oh, kitty, too tight. No, it's like with blades and stuff. But what I'm saying,
well, my question is, why does the 2-year-old have a blade?
You watch this show.
I'm just asking, where's this 2-year-old's going to get in the drawer and be like, oh, I found a blade.
He was probably like 3 or 4. But yeah, I think kids are smarter than we give them credit for. But I also think that it has a lot to do with the denial of a parent. Parents do not want to admit if their kids have issues. Let's be real. When you tell somebody that when you tell a parent that their child may have a learning disorder or may have a physical disorder or a medical ailment, or some parents instantly are like, oh, no. I mean, it's just like if, say, your daughter or son were getting bullied and you confront them. No.
Okay.
That's what parents are.
We're going to go back really quickly. I am one of those parents that there was an incident where my daughter was getting bullied. I said, maybe you can handle this yourself, because I know how girls are. 1 minute they're like, love each other. The next minute they hate each other. 2 days later, they love each other, right? So I thought she could handle this herself. I did let it go on a month. I am not going to lie, before I marched my happy ass into that school. Because you know me. Because I knew at that point she couldn't handle it, because now it went to social media. So again, I also feel that parents are not involved enough with their children. They're
Yeah.
not involved enough with their school. They're like, if their kid's failing, it's like, oh, well, just do better, okay? Because I can't do anything for you. Well, and I think that's where we're having an issue. And I feel like some of the teachers also are just like, I don't care anymore. I just don't care. I feel like after we had COVID, they just gave up.
Do you think also, though, it also has you have to be comfortable with your parent? I mean, some kids will not tell their parents that they're failing, or some kids won't tell their parents they're being bullied.
Okay,
And
first,
those are the kids. I mean, there's a lot of kids. This is getting off a topic of why kids murder, but there are kids out there who have committed suicide that their parents had no idea that they were being bullied.
But here's where the issue lies. Like I said, families don't sit down for meals without their cell phone in hand or watching a video. Or like I know in my house, we have movie nights, we have game nights. And I know sometimes life gets a little hectic because I got 2 kids in 2 different directions and I'm one person. But I make it work and I still have to have that connection. So when I'm taking my daughter to dance, I'm sitting there having a conversation with her, even though she's taking selfies of herself, but I'm just what she does. I'm still trying to connect with her. And I notice when she's in a bad day, I'm like, well, is there a problem? You know, and I want to keep that communication open, but I also want her to know that she still has to respect me as a person and I will respect her as a person. And no matter what you do, you can come and talk to me.
But some parents aren't like that. There's some parents that if you say, hey, I'm being bullied, oh, well, grow up, don't get your panties in a bunch. Or, there's just some parents that aren't as nurturing and caring as you. And their kids might not feel comfortable coming to them. The kids might be embarrassed about being bullied. I mean, it's just, I don't know. There's so many different aspects. And it's hard when it's a child because as adults, you're like, okay, that person, he's just crazy. But you can't really say that about a child because they're not.
But because their brain isn't fully developed, they don't understand really what they're doing. And I feel
though. Because I will say, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or nothing, but like I feel at a very young age, and Father, you're in the comments, you can back me up. I feel that at a very, very young age, I was way more mature than many, many kids.
And that very well could be.
So I could say when I was 7 or 8 years old, I knew dang well what I was doing.
Okay. And I understand at that age, but I'm talking like 2 or 3. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Okay. I guess what I'm trying to get at. Like at 7 or 8, they know what the hell they're doing.
So then if they kill because there's been kids that have killed young as 9 and 10. Do you think it's environment or do you think that it's
I think that and
mental illness?
Okay, I think when it comes to a certain age, I think how can I put this? I think if you're okay, let's use like Lily Peters for an example. He was 13, no 14, something on that order.
14, I think.
Right. Well, he knew what he was doing. He knew damn well what he was doing. But I don't think a 5-year-old, he doesn't know what he's doing. Like I said, just because I play Nerf guns and he tells me I'm going to kill you. Well, okay, bring it on. Let's do this.
But I mean, I don't know if
guns. But if he were to tell somebody at school, like, I'm going to kill you, automatically we're done.
But I don't know. I mean, I would have to look it up and I wish I would have thought about this beforehand. I wonder what the youngest murder is. Like, I don't know what that age is. And I mean, yeah, maybe 5. I mean, even at 5 though, because my son is 5, I feel like he knows you don't hurt people.
Right.
And I mean, he's young, but I think he fully understands, like, if you do this, it's going to hurt somebody. You don't hurt people. You don't hurt people's feelings. So I do think that at certain ages like that, I mean, maybe as young as 5, but they understand what they're doing. They may not understand the fact that, hey, if I take this knife and stab somebody, the person's never coming back. But they understand that they're physically causing harm and they're causing pain.
Okay, because I looked up and this was before I was trying to find if I could see if I could find the youngest killer, and it just kind of gave me Britain, and that was like 13, and I think that's definitely wrong.
No, I think there's people here that have been younger.
Yeah, there has to have been.
With Nicole's comment being a school counselor, let's talk about school shootings. I mean, no, people want to talk about them, some people don't, but at what point? Again, school shootings. Some kids are angry. Some kids are being bullied. Some kids see, and I don't know, I think the first school shooting I remember is Columbine. Those kids were plastered all over the place. The Columbine shooters had more publicity than the victims did. And there are some kids who they're not heard when they're at home. They have no friends. Is it a publicity thing? Is it like hey, I want to make a statement. I want to be known for something, and this is what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Or are they being bullied? Are they being bullied to the point where they break?
Okay, let's go back to the kid. What was it in Utah? Who was 18?
Texas.
Okay, I don't want to say Utah. I don't know what's going on. But see, I'm watching too many sister wives today.
I think that's different because that's not
okay. But
that wasn't his school.
It wasn't his school,
no,
but he was mad.
You go in and you blow your classmates away,
right? But I'm talking. He did. There was an issue. He was mad because he was going to be in trouble because he didn't graduate. Well, where were these parents to sit there and say, why aren't you graduating?
Well, okay, there's a lot of different aspects. At 18, he went and bought a bunch of guns and a bunch of ammo, like a ton.
Okay.
How was that not a red flag?
I don't know how these people be getting guns, how these kids are getting guns.
Well, it's legal at 18, and it's Texas. Everybody has a gun in Texas.
I don't live in Texas.
Well, no,
I'm just saying, like, some of these little kids. But then again, let's look at the kid in Michigan. His parents knew that he had some problems, and he still got sent back to class, and then he shot everybody at school. And the teachers knew what was going on instead of saying, okay, you got to take him. I kind of blame the school a little bit, too, because they're like, well, his parents are like, oh, just go back to class. Just go back to class. Everybody's like, just go back to class. Just go back to class. Go back to class. No, take your kid and go. Take your kid and go.
But again, parents want to say, not my kid. My kid's fine. That'll never happen.
Okay.
That is one of the biggest things is people will think that'll never happen to me when it happens all the time. And again, you have a small child too. I have never, school shootings have always bothered me, has always made me sad. But now that I have a child that is of school age, I sit there and I wonder, like, okay, what do you teach him? Do you teach him to fight? Do you teach him to protect his classmates? Or do you teach him just run until you can't run anymore? And you can only teach your child, be nice, don't bully. If you see somebody sitting alone, go eat lunch with them, be nice to everybody. But
look at what happened on TikTok, where it was like everybody was supposed to do that school shooting or all those school shootings in that one day. When I got a text message from my daughter in the middle of the day, I'm telling you right now, my happy ass was on the phone, like, because I was at Odin's school function. I called her dad. I said, you go get that child. I said, and you keep her safe. And all the school could tell me was, oh, it's just a TikTok trend. I'm taking precautions just like everybody else should. There was other schools in the district that shut their schools down because of this. But then you have some districts that are like, not my problem. Well, now it is your problem because other schools were going remote. What was making you not? And all I got when I called the school was, it's not a big deal.
But at what point does it become a big deal? At what point are we going to start taking it serious and start protecting our kids? I have a family member who's a teacher, and I asked her, because she does work in the high school in our district, and I said, hey, what does the high school do to take measures for things like this? She literally laughed and was like, not really. She goes, they're the type of school that says, oh, it'll never happen here. Okay, that's the school my son has to go to now. I mean, in many, many, many years. But my first thought process when she said that was like, all right, well, then I'm going to find a district. I'm going to find a school that is going to protect my child.
But see, that's where the issue lies.
And I absolutely agree with the comment.
What?
I absolutely agree with Nicole's comment. The
I agree.
TikTok, social media in general are causing so many problems for future generations, and it's sad. And Nicole, you're right. It is sad. I think we were just talking about how some kids do it for publicity. I mean,
because they think that they're going to be famous.
You have no other talent. Shoot up a school. You'll be plastered all over media. You're going to go down in history for the kid that shot up whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, sometimes I think we need to start holding these parents responsible at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Listen.
Because I depending on the situation, I do not feel that you can hold a parent responsible, because there are plenty parents who are great parents. They're good parents, and their kids still turn out like assholes.
Send your child to military school, okay?
But that doesn't always work. I mean, you can send them to Catholic schools. You can raise them in a great home. You can bribe them, and some kids just do not take the right path. So I will say, personal experience, you cannot blame parents for the way that their kids act. Now, yes, if there's guns in the house and you don't lock them up, cool, that's on you. You should know better than that. But if my son goes out and buys a gun or gets a gun off the black market, whatever he wants to do, and he shoots up a school and I have no idea, why the hell am I going to go to prison? I didn't do it.
Well, my question is, how the hell did he get the money? It wasn't mowing lawns.
Kids are smart these days.
That's the problem. Kids are smart.
There are so many kids. There are so many kids that have social media accounts that their parents don't know. There's kids that smoke weed that their parents don't know. There's kids having sex that their parents don't know. Buying a gun in today's world, piece of cake if you live in the right county. Okay, and sorry about that little. I had that little head. But I'm just saying, in today's world, it is easy to get. Everybody knows somebody that can get you something.
Yeah, I know nobody.
Okay, well, I could hook you up, Reeni.
I know. But what I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is there's not any discipline with children. Parents are afraid of their children. And again, it's kind of one of those things. Like, I think that parents have pretty much checked out lately. They're like, whatever, they're tired. There's two parents working, so on and so forth. And like I said, I'm one of those people. I got to know what my kids are doing at all times. Mm-hmm. All times. You're going to go to the park. You're going to go with friends. Oh, I got to know who your friends are. I need to know what time you're going to be back. I'll drop you off. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit of a helicopter mom. But again, I don't want my kids in trouble. I don't want them hurt either. But what am I going to do? Go to college with them? I mean, I've contemplated that one too. Not that I was, who knows. But like I said, I feel like more parents need to be involved in what their kids are doing and not just shrugging their shoulders and saying, well, they're in trouble and that's okay. It's not okay.
No, it's not okay. But at the same time, there's a lot of households, and I just like being devil's advocate. I'm not saying violence is okay. I'm just letting everybody know I like to play both. I'm not going to say I like to play both sides of the field. You know what I mean? I like to have both sides. Mm-hmm. But in today's world as well, divorce is huge. There's a lot of single parent homes. And let's be real, you can't get a house for less than $3 something around here. You can't get groceries for less than a couple hundred if you have kids. Then you have to work. Then gas is $5 a gallon. As a single parent, you're going to have to probably work more than one job, or you're going to have to work a lot of hours. Okay. If you are lucky enough to have family to help, great. But if I was a single mom, my dad still works. I don't have a mom. My aunt works. My grandparents are dead. So if I was a single mom, I would have nobody to watch him during the day. I would have to pay a sitter, which in this area, you can't get a sitter for less than $1,300 a month. Then you got your mortgage, you got your groceries, you got your gas, it's to live in today's world. If you are a single parent, and that's just one kid, the funds aren't there. You're going to have to work. I mean, if something,
I agree with you.
It would be hard for me to be involved because I'd have to work 60 plus hours to keep the lifestyle that my son is used to.
But let's back that lifestyle right back up real quick. Okay.
So you're saying if my husband died, I should have to sell my house?
No, I mean, I'm moving with you to help you.
Okay. You can come on in. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, coming from a single parent home, I saw how hard my dad works, right. And he gave us everything we wanted, and we still did sports and we still did all this, but he made great money. And
right.
And a lot of people don't have that privilege, and they have to work 2-3 jobs to make it work. And they're living in bad neighborhoods, which then affect the children. And it's such a hard world to live in today's world.
Okay, but here's where I guess, and I understand exactly what you're saying, completely understand what you're saying. But I also feel that, just hear me out on this, even if you are a single parent,
I have to open with that.
You still have an obligation to your child to figure out who his friends are, who their parents are. That is another thing, because these kids have cell phones. We've failed to figure out who these other parents are. And so we don't even know if that little kid is a little asshole that he's hanging out with that probably has a gun and they're all shooting up everything.
Well, and
we
then
don't know
that I will say is the parents' fault for giving them a cell phone. I don't think a kid should have a cell phone at 5, 6, 10, 12. I don't think you should have a cell phone until you go to high school.
Okay. And
or you start playing sports.
Okay. I disagree with that, because I do know that there was times when my child was doing, Torgan was doing something different. She was doing different dance classes, and I couldn't sit in there. I had to go do something else. So if there was an emergency, she is going to be able to get a hold of me.
Well, that's what I said. If they're playing sports, then yes, they can have a cell phone.
But I wouldn't give my 5-year-old a cell phone.
Well, no, but some kids have cell phones at 6, 7, 8. And okay, dance. Yeah, she needs to call you, especially when there was COVID. Football practice, baseball practice. But if your cell phone is strictly just so you can, again, just have a phone. You don't need a smartphone.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I grew up on
where are you going to get them a flip phone?
Well, my father-in-law had one until a month ago.
I wouldn't even know where to go about that. But does she have a smartphone?
As you go.
Yeah, she does. Does she have Snapchat? Yeah, she does.
See?
But hang on. I'm a nosy mom. Right. I will go through your phone like you would not believe. I know your passcode. I know your PIN. I know everything about you. I read your diary. Okay. I did not say that out loud, but I did. No, I did.
But again, kids are smart. How do you know she doesn't have a secret account that you don't know about?
Oh, I know everything.
But
I know
you.
I do.
You know everything until you don't.
Trust me, I do.
I don't know.
Trust me, I do.
I'm just saying, kids are smart. Kids are tricky little bastards.
Hear me out. I will say this. When she does have a problem, I have to sit and listen to it for I have to listen to it, okay? But I do have to agree with your dad here. Parents need to take a liking to their kids' interests, and I think that becomes a huge thing. I'm not going to lie. I never danced. I have to sit there and I'm like, oh, shit.
Okay, what if your kids have none?
Make them.
But then you're forcing them to do something they don't want to do.
And?
They're going to be miserable.
Not my problem.
So then you're teaching them that it's okay to make somebody do something they don't want to do.
Okay, let me tell you something. Part of doing, I know, part of making them do stuff is also about team building, how to work with, just all kinds of other stuff, making new friends, trying new things. Maybe you don't have to do it next year, but I am a big one. Your ass is going to do something because you ain't sitting on my couch and just hanging out. You're not going to.
But what if they don't?
That's not my problem.
What if they're not sportsy? What if they don't like sports? They don't like dance. They don't.
Okay, there's bands.
There are kids like that.
There's bands. Okay, but what happens if your kid was interested in art? So take them to the art museum. Your dad is right. Make sure that you are interested in what your kids are doing. And then we probably wouldn't have as many problems with our children if we would actually spend time with our children. Say, hey.
I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it all has to do on the mental capacity of the person.
I still force my children to do things they don't want to do.
I mean, that's not, I would say, hey, try this, but if they hate it, then they hate it. And I'm not going to force them, because I don't want them to sit there and be like, oh, okay, well, my mom forces me to do this, so it's okay for me to force.
But here's the thing. If you're going to try it, I'm going to make you do it, and then I'm just going to go ahead. If you don't want to do it next year, that's fine.
Yeah, then that's
not. But technically, they are not going to sit on their asses.
Right. So that's different. Okay.
And like your dad said, he goes, he said he was going to side with you. And here's the thing. I do try to have an open communication with my daughter. I know I can go online. I can figure out who she's calling. I know exactly whose phone number it is. As far as the Snapchat goes, I check that every single night because I made sure that when she decided to have Snapchat, it was like stuff was saved. And I do random phone checks.
Yeah.
I read your diary.
But no, that's also saying that they were just born that way. This whole discussion has been that they are born that way.
Okay, but
we have not talked about if they have abusive parents, could that cause it, or if they if they had a trauma, like
okay,
I'm not gonna lie, if I see that some little girl or little boy is raped and they kill their abuser, I'd like, you know what, you had to come.
Okay, but let's look at Jody Pluchet, and he was a great guest when he was on here. I loved him to death. We're gonna have him on again. Cool dude.
I understand. I completely.
But you know what? He didn't turn around and say, well, now I'm going to kill somebody because this is what happened to me.
But his dad did.
Okay, first off, if it was my kid, I'd kill him too.
Oh, I agree with what his dad did.
But I'm talking about the person that was abused or whatever. He didn't go kill anybody because he had this traumatic experience. He turned that traumatic experience into something very positive.
Mark my words. If I ever find myself in a situation where I end up raped, I will cut their balls off and feed it to them.
Oh, shit.
I am just saying.
We actually, man,
Todd, you're gonna have to bleep that one. I'm just saying.
YouTube for us because I know Nicole's show is on like really quickly.
I'm just saying that type of situation, that type of trauma, I would absolutely take it into my own hands. And if I got arrested, I'd be like, yeah, Judge, I did it. Sorry.
Next, Realm of Darkness.
Next Realm of Darkness, my mugshot.
No, that was mine, remember?
Oh, yeah. You were getting arrested, and I was reporting on it.
Okay, here's the thing. I will be the first one to admit when I go into a store and I am looking for something for my children, and I cannot find it, and it's in your cart. I am going to take it, okay? Because it's technically not paid for, so it's still property of the store.
No, I cannot believe. Okay, this is a completely different episode that we need to do. But the fact that you walk through the store and you shop out of people's carts, like, I feel like where I live, somebody's getting shanked. Like, it's
okay. First off, I need it. Okay,
I understand that. But I am surprised you have not been into a fight. Like, I fully expect one day for you to call me like, hey, I got into a fist fight at Walmart because I stole like My Little Pony out of somebody's cart. And then I'm going to put your mugshot up and I'm going to have a show and tell everybody what you did.
Just gonna have like a GoFundMe so I can
Yeah, I'll set up a GoFundMe to bail you out or to pay for your lawyer, whatever, depending on how bad the fight is.
Oh my God. I do. I will be the first one to admit I do it. It's still property of that store. So technically it is free game.
I'm just saying, I feel like in maybe not where I live now, but like the area that I grew up in, I feel like somebody would get shanked if you took something out of their cart.
I will smack them with my purse. See what happens. And you know, I carry a big purse.
But you're also like 4 foot tall, so you're not.
4'11". Okay, so I gotta make sure that I still.
I'm just gonna. That's what I'll do.
I do have to have my bail card out.
I will just whatever you're trying to take. I'll just hold it above your head and be like, can't get it.
My God. So I do want to let everybody know we will not be on next week. We are gonna try just through the summer. We are gonna do every other Thursday. Because we have a lot of stuff going on. As some of you know, we are paranormal investigators.
People are getting arrested, apparently.
Yes, I'm getting arrested. You never know, because I got to go to Walmart maybe tomorrow or Saturday. I don't know. So if I do get arrested, Ashley will have a show on Thursday.
Well, but if she gets arrested, I mean, you can still watch me. I'm traveling with cross country to do events. So you can come visit me there too if you like. And we'll start a rally for Reeni. I'll just say free Reeni.
T-shirts. So anyways, tomorrow night on Secrets Within, I have Matt Warner and Courtney on, and they talk about a new location that Matt has. So
They're great. So you're definitely.
I'm sorry, Bill. I promise we'll be back. It's just for the next month, really.
Yeah, just
month
during
and a
summer.
half.
Every other week.
Yeah, just for like a month. I think just through July, right?
Probably through just July, yeah.
Yeah, it's just through July. Don't worry.
Like 4 weeks.
4 weeks. That's it. That's all we're doing. But remember to watch the Afterlife Chronicles with Nicole Strickland. Great show. So everybody watch that. And we won't see you next week, but we'll see you the following week.
Yeah. Everybody have a good holiday weekends.
But I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Don't do anything we won't do.
Don't go to Walmart.
Don't steal things out of people's carts.
You guys have a good night.
Good night.
Bye.